Hi everyone. I wasn't expecting to make another one of these videos. I wasn't expecting such positive feedback from the why I bought the VariCam LT in 2023 video. You know, I was expecting to get like, you know, maybe like 100 videos, maybe like 2 or 3 comments, but I ended up getting, I think there's like over 3,000 views, and like there's so many comments, and there have been quite a few of you who have even like, you know, subscribed to my channel. But I do appreciate that. And so I thought maybe if you guys liked that video, then I would come back and make, you know, maybe one more VariCam LT video and see what you guys think. So this video is actually going to be 2 parts. The first part is going to be a comparison video between the VariCam LT and my previous A-cam, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. I was originally going to do with the GH5, but I thought that I would stay in the cinema camera world, since the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera is a cinema camera. I thought that I would, you know, that would be my first comparison. And, you know, if this video also does well, then maybe I'll rent an FX6 and compare it to the Panasonic, or maybe I'll go for the Arria Mira and compare it to the Panasonic VariCam LT. But yeah, let's jump right into it. This is the VariCam LT versus the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. So let's start off with a little introduction to each camera, starting with the Panasonic VariCam LT, which will be known throughout the video as just LT. So the LT was released February of 2016. It was a very compact camera for the time. It was very light for its competition. It had dual native ISO, which is a very new and groundbreaking technology in the film industry. And it also had the exact same sensor as its older brother, the VariCam 35. Now, in today's market, having a camera that's 6.6 pounds or 2.7 kilograms with just the body alone is kind of like a deal breaker. Like, we have cameras like the Red Komodo, or now the Red Komodo X, the FX6, the Pocket 6K, we have the Ursa Mini, we have the C70, we even have the Red Scarlet, we have the Alexa Mini. But for its time, which was pre-2017 cameras, it was one of the lightest cameras on the market. And its competition was, and I have a list here on my iPhone, my license, my driver's license is still in here. I went hiking and I wanted to make sure I at least had my wallet on me just in case I died, so they knew who I was. The Alexa Classic Plus, which weighed in at 17 pounds or 7.7 kilograms. The Alexa Amira, which weighed 9 pounds or 4.7 kilograms. The Alexa 65, which weighed 23.2 pounds or 10.5 kilograms. The Alexa Mini, which weighed 5.1 pounds or 2.3 kilograms. The Epic Dragon 6K, which weighed 5 pounds or 2.3 kilograms. The Scarlet Dragon 6K, which weighed 5 pounds or 2.3 kilograms. The F55, which weighed 7.9 pounds or 3.6 kilograms. The F65, which weighed 11 pounds or 5. Wow. The F65, which weighed 11 pounds. Blah. The F65, which weighed 11 pounds or 5 kilograms. The C300 Mark II, which weighed 3 pounds or 1.5 kilograms, and the Millennium DXL, which weighed 10 pounds or 4.5 kilograms. So you can see that though it was not the lightest in the market, it was definitely top 3 lightest cameras that there were out there. One other thing to note about this camera is that it is built like a tank. It's got a body made of magnesium, which is a lightweight metal that's also very durable, and I believe that it is resistant to corrosion, and it was meant to withstand harsh climates like very hot and humid weather to very misty and sometimes even rainy weather. And last but not least, this camera boasts a dynamic range of 14 plus stops. And when tested, this camera actually proves true with 14 stops of dynamic range. So what was advertised is exactly what you're getting. Next, we have the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera, which will now be known as the P4K. The P4K was released in September of 2018 and weighs about 1.5 pounds or 0.68 kilograms. This camera also has dual native ISO, records B-RAW internally, as well as ProRes internally. And on paper, this camera is said to have 13 stops of dynamic range, but in reality has around 11.3 stops of dynamic range, which is, I think, maybe one stop or even tied to the GH5's dynamic range. Now, the Pocket 4K was meant to compete against other cinema cameras. However, because of the price and because of its micro four thirds sensor, it actually appealed more towards indie filmmakers or low, no budget filmmakers for being so affordable, but also having a really good image. I tried to find out what kind of material the body was made out of. All I could really find was carbon fiber. I'm sure there's some metal in there somewhere, but it doesn't really say exactly what the body is made up of. The LT has 6 buttons on the body and 14 buttons on the control panel. 3 of these buttons can be customized. There's 1 large record button, 1 menu button, and 1 system check button. The custom buttons and record button glow and can be toggled to not glow if necessary. The P4K has 15 total buttons on the body, 2 microphones built into the front panel, and it's got intake vents at the front of the body right above the lens mount. The LT has a Super 35 sensor, 24.5mm by 12.9mm with a diagonal of 27.78mm and has dual native ISO. It comes standard with either an EF mount or PL mount, and it's interchangeable. You do have to uninstall one mount and replace it with the next mount. It takes maybe 5 minutes. The P4K has a micro four thirds sensor, 18.9mm by 10mm with a diagonal of 21.44mm, maybe, and has dual native ISO. And the cool thing about the micro four thirds mount is that it's extremely adaptable, and it can adapt lens mounts such as the EF mount, F mount, PL mount, C mount, G mount, B4 2/3 inch mount, FD mount, M42 mount, and FL mount lenses. The LT has 2 media slots, an SD slot for proxy recording and for installing LUTs, and a P2 Express card slot. The proxy recordings are in high resolution HD. The P4K has 2 recording slots, a CFast card slot, and an SD card slot. It can also record to an SSD, which in my opinion is the preferred method of recording, and it is quite cheaper than buying a better SD card with more space or a better CFast card with more space. At its best, the LT records AVC Intra 4K 422, AVC Intra 2K 444, ProRes Quad 4 XQ, ProRes Quad 4, and more, all at 10-bit. It also has the ability to record 4K 12-bit RAW using an external recorder such as the Odyssey 7Q series or the Atomos Inferno Shogun. It can also record up to 240 FPS at 2K 10-bit or 12-bit RAW with an external recorder. The Pocket 4K can record ProRes 422 HQ, ProRes 422, and more at 10-bit. It can also record B-RAW internally, removing the need to record to an external monitor unless you need 12-bit. In addition, it can record up to 120 frames in HD. Thing to note about each camera is that the LT does not need to crop when you go into lower resolutions, though it does give you the option to. But with the P4K, each time you go to a new resolution, your camera does suffer a crop. Both cameras can have internal LUTs that can be baked into the footage or just overlaid without affecting the recorded footage, though you can do a live color grade on the LT through the Pomfret app. I haven't actually tested that app. I don't have the app. I haven't actually looked into the app because I don't really have any interest in doing a live grade, though I can see where that would be useful if you have a really fast turnaround and you also have a DIT on set that can just do a quick color grade while you're shooting and then just export. I will say though that the P4K does have a much wider range of LUTs available online, either free or for a price. That is because the Pocket 4K is just a very popular camera, and a lot of lower end filmmakers are looking for ways to emulate different looks like ARRI look or Sony look or Canon look. Though Panasonic does have a free VariCam library on their website that is still available today, where you can get an entire folder of free LUTs specifically for the VariCam. The LT has 3 SDI ports, one being for the viewfinder. It also has Genlock in, timecode in and out, LAN, USB, wireless USB, DC port, and 3 XLR inputs. The P4K has HDMI, mini XLR, USB-C, a headphone jack, 3.5mm microphone port, and a DC port. For me personally, the mini XLR has never worked. I bought an adapter from Condor Blue. It just didn't work, and I ended up just buying a Sound Devices external recorder instead. The LT is natively powered by gold mount batteries. It can also be powered through a gold to V mount adapter. Just be aware that the connection is not very sturdy, so if you jostle the camera a little bit, or if you are using the battery as a point of contact like I sometimes do when I'm operating on an easy rig, it can sometimes cause the battery to short. You'll also hear a soft buzzing noise, which is the adapter shorting, which in my experience has not damaged the camera nor the adapter nor the battery. However, that's just something you want to keep in mind, and it's just better, instead of paying the $123 for the adapter, just buy a gold mount. Just buy a gold mount battery. It's so much safer. The Pocket 4K uses LPE6 batteries, which last about 10 to 20 minutes, which is not really worth it, especially if you have to now carry around like 12 of these small little batteries in a little pouch everywhere you go, and then every 10 minutes it shuts off, and sometimes, you know, the battery meter is very not truthful. It doesn't exactly tell the truth, so sometimes it'll say like 10% and then it'll shut off, or sometimes it might go all the way down to 1% and shut off. So it's not very reliable. So the preferred method is to just rig it up, get a V-mount battery on there. V-mount batteries will last you the entire day, even with a monitor on there. That's what I would recommend. The LT has a built-in ND filter that cycles through 0.6, 1.2, and 1.8 NDs. The P4K has no NDs built in, so you'll have to rely on buying a variable ND filter, which sometimes is good. Sometimes it can cost you a lot of time because the screw-ons tend to get stuck. So you can circumvent that by either getting a matte box and buying square filters like the 4x4 or the 4x5.56 filters, or you can buy a variable ND that just slides in. I know that Tilta has something like that. Tiffin also has something like that. They do tend to be on the pricier side, but it is still an option. So this section of the video could very well be the deciding factor for some of you who are looking to buy a new camera. In this section, I have separated the categories into 2 different categories, and within each category is another 2 categories. We have PTSA, which stands for Price to Shoot Affordably, and then we have PTSE, which stands for Price to Shoot Efficiently. Within each of those categories, I have two more categories. There's one for buying it brand new. So this is for people who don't have budgetary confinement. And then we have something for people who whose wallets don't really have much in them, like me. So this will be more used things that you can get away with without having to spend too much coin. But before we get into each category, let's talk about specifically each individual camera and what the camera itself will cost. Brand new, the LT costs $12,000, and that's really without accessories. That's just body and top handle and control panel. Whereas if you bought used, you'd be looking at a price between maybe like $5,000 and $7,000, and odds are that would come with accessories, which might be a cage like mine did, or with a P2 card, which mine also did. Mine actually came with two P2 cards, and it also came with like a VCT plate, which was really cool. The P4K cost around $1,300 brand new, and that comes with, again, everything that you would need. It comes with a single battery, it comes with the DC cable, it comes with a free copy of DaVinci Resolve. Not the studio version, just the free generic version of DaVinci Resolve. If you were to buy new, you'd be looking between like $900 and maybe $1,200, but with accessories. The only thing is you most likely would not be getting a free copy of DaVinci Resolve with your camera if you did buy used. So now let's go on to PTSA and PTSE. For both of these categories, I'm already assuming that you have both a good tripod, so it can hold at least 12 pounds, and EF mount lenses. Let's get into it. For the LT, you'd only need the camera, the P2 card, and the battery, which would put you back around $13,740 without taxes. Whereas for the P4K, you would need the camera, an SD card, the 1.7 times speed booster, and an extra LPE6 battery for 10 to 20 extra minutes of shooting, which would cost you roughly $2,068 without tax. For the LT, you'd buy the camera and a P2 card from eBay, and you'd still buy the battery brand new since this is the cheapest option. You would be buying the Adorama brand, which will cost around $100. I have two of those. Best decision of my life instead of buying, paying for $540, but also I'm poor. So I don't have money to buy an Anton Bauer brand battery. It would cost you around $6,480 total. If you already have V-mount batteries and you just want to stick with those, you can buy the $123 gold to V-mount adapter. But again, like I said earlier on in the video, it's just better to buy gold mount since it's a sturdier connection. For the P4K, you'd buy the camera and the speed booster from eBay, and you'd buy the SD card and battery new from Amazon or B&H or something. It would cost you $1,394, which is still not even $100 more expensive than buying a brand new camera. To shoot efficiently with the LT, you'll need the camera, two P2 cards, a cage, a monitor, handles, two gold mount batteries, SDI cable, monitor DC cable, an easy rig for handheld shots, the monitor arm, sprig hooks to tidy the cable to the camera, P2 card case, which I actually discovered on my own and I think it's brilliant since there are no P2 card cases that hold multiple P2 cards, and an SD card for proxy recording, which would cost you around $21,878 before tax. As for the Pocket 4K, you would need the camera, an SSD, speed booster, V-mount battery. You would probably just need one 98 watt or one 150 watt battery because that can power the entire camera and the monitor all day. The V-mount battery mount, 50mm rods, the monitor, the cage, the HDMI cable, a gimbal, a DC cable to power the camera from the battery, and a Sony L dummy battery for the monitor. This will set you back a whopping $3,687. Brand new. For the LT, you'd buy the camera, two P2 cards, and a top handle and plate from eBay, and then you'd buy the rosette kit, the SDI cable, the monitor DC cable, 2 gold mount batteries, the monitor, an SD card for proxy recording, and a monitor arm brand new. Since it's almost not worth buying used, or you probably can't find them used because, you know, they're so cheap. This will cost you around $7,747 if luck is on your side. Because the price varies way too much, I left out the Easy Rig. You can also get like the Pro Aim version, which is cheaper. There are also like other Chinese knockoffs that you can get instead of like the official Easy Rig version. You can still get away with going shoulder mounted, but depending on what kind of shoulder mount you get, it's gonna start making your shoulder very stiff. Yeah, you need to invest in like a very comfortable shoulder rig, which I don't really use too often. For the Pocket 4K, you'd be buying the camera, the speed booster, and the gimbal from eBay, and then you'd buy the V-mount batteries, the battery plate, 15mm rods, monitor, cage, HDMI, SSD, DC cable, and dummy battery brand new for a total of $2,094 before tax. Okay, so that was a lot. That was part 1 of this video. Part 2 will be coming out sometime later. Depends on work. I'm already currently editing a video for someone, so that's gonna take up my time. But I do want to get that video out. That video is going to be centered around real life examples of both of these cameras. I'm going to be focusing on, like, you know, their dynamic range. I'm going to be focusing on how they do in bright areas, in low light areas, how they do in like well lit areas, seeing how the colors work with each of them in log and in their normal color profile. So that would be V709 and Blackmagic's video profile. I think that's what it's called. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, we're going to be putting these cameras to the test. We're also going to be doing a startup test to see how long each camera starts up. So it's going to be really interesting. We're going to be doing some other things with that. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you could like the video and subscribe, because that's the only way that I actually knew that you guys really like this stuff. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Give me your unabashed comments in the comment section. Like, let me know exactly what you think. Don't go easy on me, because this is an open discussion and I do value all of your input. So thank you guys so much, and until next time, I do not have anything to say to close out this video. So I'm just gonna. I know I can close out this video. I can tell you guys about my lighting setup today. So I have an Aperture 600D non-pro version that I just got like a week ago, since I really needed some strong lighting, and that is shooting over the camera and over me into an ultra bounce on a boom arm, and that's 6x6, and then back there I have my Amaran 200X shooting through a 4x4 diffusion frame that I made myself. And that's really all the lighting that I use. Oh, and then I have a pizza box right here, and that's giving me a little bit of fill. I'll show you that real quick. So like, yeah, it gives me quite a bit. So that's reflecting the light that's coming off of the ultra bounce. It actually makes a huge difference. Like, well, this looks really dramatic.